everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a review on the KVD Good Apple Concealer. If you do want to see a review and a demo, then please keep watching. As a huge favor, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment anything down below. I greatly appreciate it. I read all the comments and I will do my best to reply back. This concealer retails for $28 at Sephora and Ulta Beauty. I do want to read a little bit about this. An extreme long wear crease resistant concealer with the same hydrating, lightweight, full coverage as KVD's Beauty iconic Good Apple foundation. Here's a closer look on what the packaging looks like. It says KVD up at the top and then it says Good Apple printed in the center. Down at the bottom it says a lightweight full coverage concealer. You get 10 millimeters of product or 0.33 fluid ounces. Up at the top you have the shade name. This shade is Tan 158. On the side of the packaging it states it was made in the USA. On the other side you have a little description. Down at the bottom it states it has a 6-month shelf life. On the back you have the list of ingredients. The packaging is so pretty. I love this ombre effect. I think this is plastic. Feels very lightweight. Down at the bottom you have the shade name. Again, the shade is in 158. Here's a closer look on what the doe foot applicator looks like. It's very unique. Tan 158 is described as medium tan with cool pink undertones. I also purchased the shade in Tan 161. I wasn't sure what shade I was, so I purchased both. Let's see what this shade looks like. Tan 161 is described as medium tan with warm olive undertones. Here's what both of those shades look like side by side. I'm not too sure which concealer would work on me, but let's try both. I just finished cleansing my skin. I don't have any product applied on top. I don't have any moisturizer or primer. I'm just going to be applying this on my bare skin just to see how it performs throughout my day. On the left side of my face, I'm going to apply the shade in Tan 158. I'm going to do 3 little stripes. Taking a clean eyeshadow brush, I'm gonna blend this in. Oh wow, this is nice. I'm gonna drag it down a little bit. This shade in Tan 158 is a little bit too light for me. It would be a good highlighting shade, but I don't think I would ever reach for this. On this side, again, I'll do 3 little stripes. And again, this shade is Tan 161. I'll use the same eyeshadow brush, but I'm gonna flip it over to the clean side. Here we have the shade in Tan 61. Both of these shades are a little bit too light for my liking. I'll see how it wears throughout my day. I won't be adding any setting powder because I want to see how it performs on its own, just for those no makeup days. Again, here's what both of those shades look like. I do want to apply a fresh swatch, so this is the shade in 158. Here's a fresh swatch. It does dry down darker. Here's what the shade in Tan 61 looks like. Same thing, it does dry down a little bit darker. I'm going to apply a little bit of mascara. This is the Maybelline Curl Bounce Mascara. I'm also going to add a little bit of brow product to my eyebrows. For lips, I'm going to apply the Summer Fridays Lip Butter Balm in the shade Brown Sugar. Here's what everything looks like. My first impressions of this concealer is that I don't think it's full coverage. You can see my hyperpigmentation peeking through. I didn't apply a lot of product. I don't want to apply too much product and then it looks cakey, but tomorrow we'll see if it's buildable. I will check back in with you guys at the end of the night and I will see you then. Hey guys, it is the end of the night of me testing out the KVD Good Apple Concealer. Here's how it wore throughout my day. I really do like this formula. It was long lasting. It did crease a little bit underneath my eye. There are some creases underneath my eyes. This formula is so good. Normally when I don't set my under eyes with setting powder, it creases significantly, but this time it didn't crease that much, which I really do love. You can just pat these creases out. It went away very easily. If you decide not to set this concealer with any setting powder, it's totally doable. I placed an order for 2 different shades because these shades are a little bit too light on me. I prefer a concealer to be more skin-like. So far, so good. Tomorrow, I will be applying these concealers on top of foundation, and I will see you then. Hey guys, it is day 2 of me testing out the KVD Good Apple Concealer. I just finished applying 1 layer of foundation. Of course, I use my Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation. That is my Holy Grail foundation. Hopefully, it works well with this concealer. The shade I'm going to be using is the shade Tan 161. I'm going to be doing 3 little stripes. Taking a clean flat eyeshadow brush, I'm going to blend this The shade in 161 seems to be a good match for me. I'm loving how the concealer brightened up my under eye. You can see the difference. I'm gonna see if this concealer is buildable. I'm just gonna be applying it where my hyperpigmentation is. Apply a little bit on my nose. Of course, I'll do 3 more stripes on this side. The formula feels so lightweight and it's giving me full coverage. I haven't been impressed by a concealer like this in a while. I'm going to be using my damp beauty blender. I'm going to blend this in a little bit. I'm super impressed by the coverage of the concealer. Look at that. It covered up my hyperpigmentation really quickly. And it brightened up my under eyes as well. I'm going to set everything with my Too Faced Peach Perfect setting powder. Here's what the concealer looks like set with setting powder. It looks a little bit too bright for me, but that's totally fine. I'm going to apply a little bit of the ABH powder bronzer in the shade Saddle. I won't be applying product on top of the concealer because I want to see how it wears when it's set. Here's what everything looks like so far. I'm impressed by this concealer. It is so good. For mascara, I'm going to apply my Rare Beauty Volumizing Mascara. Here's one last look on what the concealer looks like. I will check back in at the end of the night to see how the concealer performs with the setting powder, and I will see you then. Hey guys, it is the end of the night of me testing out the KVD Good Apple concealer in the shade 161. Here's how the concealer held up throughout my day. The concealer did crease on this eye, not too much on this side. I'm going to look up so you can see. Overall, I really do love how the concealer performed. It is super lightweight, it doesn't feel heavy, and it is super duper full coverage. I did purchase 2 darker shades of this concealer. This one looks a little bit too bright on me. I thought it would oxidize a little bit more as the day went on, but it didn't, but that's totally fine. I will check back in with you guys tomorrow when we get those new concealers, and I will see you then. Hey guys, it is day 3 of me testing out the KVD Good Apple concealer. I purchased 2 new shades. I purchased a shade in Tan 162 and Tan 164 since the other 2 shades were a little bit too light on me. So let's see what these 2 shades look like. Tan 162 is for tan skin with warm golden undertones. The other shade is Tan 164. Tan 164 is for tan skin with warm peach undertones. I definitely prefer the first shade, but we'll test both of these out. On the left side, I'm going to be applying the shade in Tan 162. Again, I'm going to do 3 little dots. I don't have any primer on, any moisturizer, anything. This is on my bare skin. Taking a foundation brush, I'm going to blend this in. Here we have the shade in Tan 162. This shade is really beautiful. On the right side of my face, I'm going to be applying the shade in Tan 164. Again, I just apply 3 little stripes, and then taking my same foundation brush, I'll be blending this in. I don't like this undertone. It's definitely too peachy for me. Wow, it definitely covered up my hyperpigmentation. Here's what both of the concealers look like side by side. Again, we have the shade in Tan 162, and then we have the shade in Tan 164. I won't be applying additional product because I want to see how it wears throughout my day. I want to see if it oxidizes. Here's a closer look on what both of those shades look like swatched on the back of my hand. I'm going to be applying a fresh swatch of each shade. Here we have a fresh swatch of the shade in Tan 162. It did dry down a little bit darker. And then here's a fresh swatch of the shade in Tan 164. Again, it did dry down a little bit deeper. I will be wearing these concealers throughout my entire day, and I will check back in with you guys at the end of the night to see how they perform, and I will see you then. Hey guys, it is the end of the night of me testing out the concealers. Here's how it wore throughout the day. I'm gonna look up so you guys can see that the concealer barely creased. This is such a great formula. I love both of these shades in Tan 162 and Tan 164. Both concealer shades look good. It didn't oxidize too much. It blended in with my skin tone. Tomorrow I'm going to be testing out the concealers once more, but this time with foundation on top of it, and I will see you guys then. Hey guys, it is day 4 of me testing out the KVD Good Apple concealers in the shade Tan 162 and the shade 164. I already applied my foundation. Today I'm going to be applying both concealer shades in Tan 162 and Tan 164. On the right side, I'm going to be applying the shade in Tan 162. On the left side, I'm going to be applying the shade in Tan 164. Here's what both of those shades look like side by side. I'm going to be blending it out using my damp beauty blender. First, we'll do this side. Again, the shade is 162. I love the coverage of this concealer. As you can see, it covered up my hyperpigmentation really nicely, and I just went in with that one layer. On this side, I'm going to be using the same sponge, but I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to blend out the shade in Tan 164. This one is a little bit dark for me, but we'll make it work. Here's what the concealers look like blended out. I know the concealer won't crease on me, so I won't be setting it with setting powder. I'm just going to be adding a light coat of mascara. For mascara, I'm going to be using the Maybelline Curl Bounce. For lips, I'm going to apply the Tower 28 Shine On Lip Jelly in the shade Almond. Here's what everything looks like. I will check back in at the end of the night to see how everything wears, and I will see you then. Hey guys, it is the end of the night of me testing out the KVD concealers in the shade Tan 162 and the shade Tan 164. Here's how the concealers held up throughout my day. It did crease a little bit underneath both of my eyes. Again, that's because I did not set it with any setting powder. I like how the concealers wore throughout my day with my foundation underneath. I really do like both shades, but I definitely prefer the shade in Tan 162 better. The shade in Tan 164 is a little bit too dark for me, but I can still make it work. Tomorrow, I'm going to be applying the shade in Tan 162. I'll be applying this on both sides. I'm going to be setting the concealer with setting powder. I'm going to be applying blush. I want to see what everything looks like. I will check back in with you guys tomorrow on day 5, and I will see you then. Hey guys, it is day 5 of me testing out the KVD Good Apple concealer. I already applied my foundation all over. Today I'm going to be applying the shade in Tan 162 underneath my eyes. I'm going to let that sit underneath my eyes for a little bit. I do want to swatch all 4 shades on the back of my hand so you can see what it looks like freshly swatched and then dried down. The first shade we're going to swatch is Tan 158. Here's what the shade in Tan 158 looks like. Next shade is Tan 161. I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap so we can swatch the shade underneath it. Here's the shade in Tan 161. Next up, we have Tan 162. This is the shade that I have all over. Again, here we have the shade in Tan 162. I definitely think Tan 162 is my concealer shade. The last shade is Tan 164. This shade is a little bit too dark on me, but I can definitely make it work. Here's what all 4 shades look like freshly swatched. I'm gonna let these dry down on the back of my hand and then we'll do a fresh swatch. I have my dampened beauty blender here. I'm gonna blend this out. Again, this is in the shade Tan 162. I love how that blended out underneath my eye. You can see a little bit of my hyperpigmentation peeking through. I do want to apply a second layer. I applied a second coat of concealer. Here's what we're looking like. I think it looks pretty good so far. I'm gonna set everything with my Too Faced Peach Perfect setting powder. For bronzer, I'm gonna apply the ABH Powder Bronzer in the shade Saddle. For blush, I'm going to dip into the Rouge Romance palette from Jaclyn Cosmetics. I'm going to be using the shade in Pretty Posh. This blush is super pigmented, so definitely use a light hand. For mascara, I'm going to apply the Rare Beauty Volumizing Mascara. For lips, I'm going to apply the Summer Fridays Lip Butter Balm in the shade Brown Sugar. Here's what everything looks like. I love how the concealer looks with the makeup on top of it. Here we have all 4 shades. Now I'm going to be applying a fresh swatch of each shade. The first shade is Tan 158. Here's what the shade in Tan 158 looks like freshly swatched and then dried down. Again, you can see it does dry down a little bit darker. Here we have the shade in Tan 161. Then on top of it, here's what it looks like dried down. Here we have the shade in Tan 162. And then here's what it looks like dried down. The last shade is Tan 164. Here we have all 4 shades freshly swatched and dried down. I'll check back in at the end of the night to see how everything wears, and I will see you then. Hey guys, it is the end of the night of me testing out the KVD Good Apple Concealer in the shade Tan 162. Here's how the concealer performed throughout my day. The concealer did crease underneath both of my eyes. I'm gonna look up so you can see. I think the concealer held up really good where my hyperpigmentation is. It didn't break apart. I liked how the concealer held up throughout my day. I still have 2 more days to test out the concealer. I will check back in with you guys on day 7 for my final thoughts, and I will see you then. Hey guys, it is the end of the week of me testing out the KVD Good Apple concealers. My final thoughts on these concealers is that I really do like them. The 2 lighter shades in Tan 158 and Tan 161 were too light for me, but I can definitely use them as a highlighting shade. My perfect concealer shade was in the shade Tan 162. Tan 164 was a little bit too dark on me, but I can definitely make it work. I really did enjoy this formula. It is lightweight, full coverage. I definitely had to apply 2 layers to achieve full coverage. I currently have the concealer on. I applied the shade in Tan 162. You can see how beautiful it looks underneath my eyes. The only thing I don't like about this concealer is that it does crease with setting powder. I did set underneath my eyes with setting powder, and it is starting to crease underneath there. Just finished applying my makeup about an hour ago and see it's already starting to crease underneath my eyes. That's the only issue. My recommendation for this concealer is that don't use any setting powder with it. Use it alone if you can, and then you can just tap out any of the creases as your day goes on. Overall, I really do like this formula. It's super lightweight. You can barely feel it on your skin, and it plays well with other makeup products on top of it. Let me know in the comments down below if you have tried the KVD Good Apple concealer, and if you guys did enjoy this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe. I will see you guys in my next video.